Mr. Dan Le Batard. Dan Le Batard on his show, the Dan Le Batard Show with Stu Gotts. I think it was about a week ago or so. Remember, I had a few weeks back, we had Dan Le Batard on this show in an effort to clear the air between he and I on some disagreements we had had. It was a great conversation. No doubt about it. No regrets. He's a friend. He always will be. But he doesn't mind stirring things up. And to his credit, he's honest. You know, when he talks about some of these things, people do like to see it. People do click on to hear what, you know, he has to say about folks in the business and particular shows and what have you. And the same applies to me and various others, which is why some of the times I don't even bother comment on some of the asinine BS that I've seen said about me. But this is not one of those times. This is not one of those things. And certainly this is not one of the people that I'm talking about when I just alluded to that. Dan Le Batard goes on his show the other day, and he decides that he wants to say, now his word is performative when he's talking about me. I'll use the word provocative when I'm talking about him. He wanted to give some provocative commentary, talking about myself and my former partner on First Take, Mr. Skip Bayless. Listen to what Dan Le Batard had to say about Skip Bayless and myself on his show with his cohorts the other day. Take a look.
I talk about this stuff probably too much, but while people complain that I talk about it too much, also in numbers, it shows that every time I talk about any of this stuff, there are a whole lot of people interested in the dynamics of our industry, more so than most of the subjects that I tackle.
It really does pop on YouTube and on social videos, and I think that's how people, because people are at work when these shows air for the most part. The people that aren't at work, you can see how they're marketed directly too, but it does huge traffic. People consume these debate shows almost exclusively via social media clips.
Not just that, though, because I do think some of this is changing. And as you've heard me talk about the aging of our industry leaders, Skip Bayless was the godfather at ESPN of taking the show that was critically the worst, the most embarrassing show, and turning it into something that now represents their flagship. Stephen A. outgrew him, and it now runs ESPN, makes that show in his name and likeness. And when Mike says exclusively by social media,
Yeah, they have monster TV numbers.
Stephen A. Smith has increased their numbers. They used to have numbers like highly questionable, 400 grand. Great number for 2 hours in morning television, but not a great number overall. It's 400 grand.
Right.
But now it's double that as other things shrink. Okay. And I want to talk about the war at the top of this industry between Skip Bayless and his protege. Because if you think Woj and Shams have a rivalry, Stephen A. Smith wants to end Skip Bayless's career.
Jesus, Dan. Good Lord have mercy. You know, I try not to engage in some of this stuff because you see, and certainly I'm not necessarily talking about Dan Le Batard with this, but I try to avoid it because you can see as clear as day that some people are saying some asinine bullshit just to get a reaction. And if it's coming from me when they're talking about me, the better. I guess that leads to more clicks, more monetary value over YouTube and stuff like that. But that's not what I'm thinking about when it comes to Dan Le Batard saying what he said. It's just that it just warrants correction and it just warrants being addressed because it was a bit extreme. First of all, protege, I appreciate the fact that Skip Bayless is the one that brought me on the First Take. But when you use the word protege, I want to make sure, because you know how literal Dan Le Batard can be with his brilliant self. He has to be literal. So he used the word protege. And the definition of a protege is one who is protected or trained, or whose career is furthered by a person of experience, prominence, or influence. That last part, I guess that would make me a protege of Skip Bayless because there is no question that my career took on another dimension once I landed on First Take. And had it not been for Skip, I would not have been on First Take. But that brings me to the second point and the bigger point, which is what I wanted to address. I have never been, I am not, nor will I ever be at war with Skip Bayless. That will not happen. Trying to be number one is an entirely different agenda than trying to end somebody's career. I hope and pray that Skip Bayless is on TV doing what he loves to do and talking sports for as long as he wants to do it. Do I want to beat him? Yes. I want to beat anybody I'm going up against. That includes you, Dan. I'm doing a podcast. Numbers are climbing, et cetera, et cetera. It's really nice. I want to make a good living doing it. I want to be successful doing it. True. But you know what my success is? You know what I define as success? Being more successful than people who do what I do. If I'm less successful than them, I'm not winning. And if I'm not winning, that's not success. It just amazes me, some of the stuff that comes out of people's mouth. It amazes me. I'm not built that way. I don't want to be up here and nobody wins. I want a lot of people to win, practically everybody to win. I just want to be on top because that's what competition is. I'm not a guy that wants to be a Super Bowl champion and you in the gutter and can't even get to the playoffs. Not if you're one of my boys. I'm not a guy that wants to win an NBA championship, but I want you in the lottery. I'm not a guy that wants to make it to the major leagues and I want you in the minor leagues. Wanting to be number one is what we're supposed to be here for. See, this is the part that people don't tell y'all out there. And damn it, listen to me. Because I'm speaking from a position of knowledge. I happen to know because I'm in the industry. All of these people that want to bitch, whine, and moan and complain about what's going on, speculating as if they know when they don't. But here's the crime. They could easily know because they're connected enough to make a phone call or two to find out, but they don't want to. They don't want to because they want to spew that bullshit. But that's not what it's about. Do you remember when Pat McAfee signed with ESPN? And you remember all that noise that was out there? Well, what was transpiring and what he was purportedly and reportedly getting paid and all of that stuff. Did you see the Stephen A. Smith show then? Did you see the smile on my face? Because all I was thinking about was, wait until it's my turn. I'm not apologizing for that. Now, I don't know what's going to happen. But if I'm aiming to be the best, and there are rewards like that out there to achieve when you are the best, then you pursue greatness to reap the reward. You go to school to get an education. You get an education so you can get a job or a career. You get a job or a career so you can get paid. That doesn't mean you're trying to destroy anybody. It means you're trying to win. And we've been winning. We were winning when Skip and I were there. We were winning when Skip was gone. And we're winning now. And the only beauty that I can take from it is that when it's all said and done, because everything comes to an end, and my time will come, and it'll be somebody else's time. Nobody can take away the decade or the decade plus of success that I've had. That's it. But my definition of success is not reading some story or hearing that, guess what, Skip Bayless's career is over. And oh, by the way, Keyshawn Johnson's my brother. We've been tight for 2 decades. We know how far me and Michael Irvin go back. And I've been real cool with Richard Sherman for years. I'm not rooting against them. I want them to be successful. Just like Shannon Sharp came on and said a few weeks ago, he wants them to be successful. He just wants to be better. Nate Burleson was on NFL's morning show. Love Nate Burleson. Love him. I want it to be better. Very happy for successful CBS. Very happy for Michael Strahan. But if they had a debate show that came on at 10 o'clock in the morning when I was on, I would be trying to beat them. I don't want them to fail. I don't want them to lose their jobs. I don't want them to get canceled. I just want to be number one. That's all. Dan Le Batard and I have been friends for years. And this is not a slight against, none of what I'm saying is a slight against him. He's wrong for saying what he said. I'm not trying to ruin Skip Bayless's career. I'm trying to win. If he's the competition, fine. If somebody else was there, I'd be trying to beat them the same way. Because I'm going to be competitive. Now, I know it didn't look that way with that damn first pitch that I threw it. I was scared I was going to bust my ass, y'all. I wasn't busting my ass on national television. I made a business decision. I ain't give a damn about the throw. Once I saw it was slippery and I was going to bust my ass, I wasn't taking that chance. I'm sorry. That's just it. Didn't look that competitive. I own that. Choke job on my part. But be clear. When I go about doing my job every day, that's how I roll. Simple. I see people engaging in conjecture, whatever. Read Straight Shooter. I tell my story. It's in the damn book. Hell, a couple of weeks ago, I read excerpts to you from the book. I make it very clear where I stand and where I'm coming from. All of this speculation is people trying to get clicks from y'all. Dan Le Batard was not doing that. He's deducing something that's not for clicks. He believes it. I have no doubt he's wrong. I want Skip Bayless in this industry as long as Skip Bayless wants to be in this industry. Dan doesn't. Now, if Dan was on at the same time as Skip Bayless, and I'm not sure he is, I think he is, and somebody said Dan Le Batard wants to ruin Skip's career or end Skip's career, I'd believe that. With some of the things he said about Skip. That's not me. I don't roll like that. I don't believe that success has to come at the expense of other people's misery. Everybody can't have the same. Everybody can't get the same. But you can still get yours if you're good enough. I just choose to aspire to be number one at all times in anything that I choose to partake of as a profession. That's me. If I was doing late night, if Disney had come to me and they said, Stephen A., you know what? We want you to succeed Jimmy Kimmel, which would have been a dream come true. First of all, I've been nervous as hell because Jimmy Kimmel is phenomenal, and I don't know if I could be as good as he is on an everyday, every night basis. But more importantly than anything else, you know what the first thing I'd be trying to do? Who's number one? Whether it's Jimmy Fallon or Stephen Colbert, I'm coming for them. If I was hosting Jimmy Kimmel's show And that's what I was doing. Whatever's there, I'm competing with. Wherever I'm at, who's my competition? I'm trying to usurp them. That's what winners do. And the problem that we have going on in this industry right now is we got too many goddamn people whining and moaning about the business and the business climate and all of this other stuff. And what they've avoided embracing is competition. Competition is what makes the world go round. Competing, establishing yourself as those dudes, that's what you're supposed to be doing. That's not about ruining anybody's career, ending their careers. It's about you establishing yourself as number one. That's what I do. I haven't always succeeded. I have failed an awful lot in life. That's why I appreciate the success that much more when I earn it. Ain't about taking anybody out. I hope Skip Bayless and FS1 live for years to come. That's my man. We haven't talked much in quite a while. Who knows when we'll talk again? Doesn't matter. Doesn't escape or negate what he did for me. Gonna always have love for him. Gonna always try to beat him. And in terms of taking Shannon Sharpe, I did no such thing. Shannon Sharpe departed from FS1. He told you this story. Go back to my archives and watch the interview. When he was gone and on the open market, that's when I came in. I didn't talk to him beforehand and try to coax him to come in the first take or anything like that. That never happened. When you let him go, I said I could use him. We cover sports. It happens every day. Coaches, executives, damn sure players. Hell, I know people in PR that changed teams this year in the NBA. What are we talking about? What are we talking about?